What's going on, Imperials? It's Emperor Cubone here. Whether fairly or not, almost every monster collection series out there gets compared to Pokémon at some point. There's simply no denying that Pokémon reigns supreme. However, while people cast dispersions on so-called copycats, I'm here to tell you that Pokémon is not immune to these tendencies either. With a roster fast approaching 1,000 characters, you're bound to wind up with a repeat or two. This can often be looked down on, but sometimes retrying the same idea can yield better results. And I don't just mean, oh, these Pokémon are both crocodiles, because they can have vastly different designs, lore, and frankly uses. So we'll be focused in even more than that while we look at the top 6 best Pokémon repeats. Number 6. Grass-type monkeys. There are a bunch of monkey Pokémon out there, but a common real-world origin isn't quite enough for me to label them as repeats. After all, we've got tons of dog Pokémon, and you wouldn't say they're all the same. However, once the common animal starts getting the same element applied to it, that's when people start connecting the dots. And you know what? I'm just gonna say it. I like Pansage and Simisage. I know people have their problems with the monkeys, but if these grass-type versions were on their own, I don't think they would be met with such ire. It's the only one of the three with cool hair. And then he throws the thumbs up. He's basically a Pokemon version of the fawns. So I think these original plant-based primates are solid. And it's not even from Silent having one, because I didn't really watch that portion of the anime. But maybe you don't care for them, and that's fine, because they reused the inspiration on an amazing starter line. Grookey was by far my favorite from the announcement. It was so adorable, and then became the only middle stage that wasn't horrible in the Galar starters, only to grow into an astoundingly buff drum player. Honestly, I was pretty surprised that it stayed a pure grass type, but with muscles like that, I won't complain. Even if you couldn't care less about the grass monkeys from before, you have to admit that doing the idea again only improved it. The only reason it's at the low end of the list is because they also made Zarude in Gen 8, and I'm not as big a fan with this one, but at least it's different with the dark type, so I guess that's something. Number 5. Normal type deer. Once again, many people may not appreciate this lone deer Pokemon from Gen 2, especially since all of the other normal types around it seem to have their own exclusive gimmicks. But while Stantler might be overlooked, that doesn't make it bad, and it is certainly more distinct than just saying, oh, you know, a normal type bird, which can have dozens of variations. A deer is a more unique creature, even though they could stem further out from the normal type in the future, but Stantler at least has its own spin on weird psychic powers. But if that's not your thing, we saw more normal deer later with the Deerling and Sawsbuck line. And of course, these Pokemon not only gained the grass typing, but also had the new feature of changing with the seasons, providing 4 different forms. These don't change their type or moves or anything, but it's just fun to look at the life cycle of nature through these majestic deer. It's just a shame that the seasons didn't stick around and let us properly enjoy these Pokemon to the fullest. So a potentially boring repeat with a bland typing, no less, turned out to be a pleasant surprise, and maybe we'll even see more combinations with this animal sometime in the future. Number 4. Ground-type elephants. This one might not count to some people, but the Generation 2 Pokemon of Phanpy and Donphan were made some of the greatest to ever be made. Phanpy is a tiny, endearing version of an Earth-based elephant, but then it becomes the living embodiment of road rage with Donphan. This Michelin pachyderm might be small compared to what we think of elephants, but his ferocity proves that he is not to be trifled with. The dispute may arise with the second occurrence of the idea in Mamoswine. Now, I know it's a woolly mammoth, and many would draw a distinction there, but what else would you call a hairy distant cousin? Others might say that its origins would disqualify it too, as it comes from pigs, but come on, that's never stopped us from calling Primeape a monkey, right? Elephant Pokemon will always be inherently interesting, but having more than one of them use the ground typing shouldn't have worked as well as it does for both of them. Donphan and Mamoswine are both competitively viable in their own ways, and that is a testament to the adaptable nature of the greatest type and their enthralling real-world inspirations. Number 3. Fire-type dogs. I was going to say fire-type birds because, hey, who doesn't love a good phoenix? But I'm not sure that multiple legendaries like that should count towards well-done Pokémon. It feels kinda like cheating. But the fire-type also has seen repetitions in mammals. I'm usually more of a cat guy, but those are a bit more distinct in their outcomes. We first see Growlithe as a cute little puppy. It's pretty hard not to like it. And then it evolves into the fan-favorite Arcanine. This magical dog is categorized as the legendary Pokémon, so we can expect big things from them, and it's no wonder with Arcanine being so powerful. Then, depending on who you are, Gen 1 also gave us Flareon. Now, the evolutions are hard to categorize, but many do point out their dog-like characteristics. Others of them are more feline, but Flareon I could buy as a dog. If you don't agree, fear not, because we have a clear case again in Johto with the Houndoom line. Clearly more of a tough breed, these hounds gained the dark type, as well as some cool skull attire, and apparently fire that will leave a burn where the pain never goes away. Do not cross these Pokémon, especially the Mega version that is straight out of the underworld. Some might also make the argument for Entei, even though personally I lean towards the legendary beasts being big cats, with Entei as more of a lion than a dog, but even without that, we've got Pokémon that were good enough the first time to be redone, only to do it better, at least in my opinion. I would say we have another to look forward to as a starter sometime, but they generally classify Fennekin as the dog rep in the Zodiac, which is pretty much nonsense, plus Fire-type Foxes is its own category of repeats, so maybe we could still see one in the future, but that would disprove the Zodiac theory once and for all, so maybe not. Number 2. Rock-type Tyrannosaurus. Obviously, the king of the dinosaurs is pretty popular with children and adults alike. But is there something that I'm missing that makes it have to be a rock type? I mean, I get it for the Kalos versions. They're fossils, and so they must be part rock type. Whether that be from imperfections in the resurrection process, or the rock typing is what allowed the fossils to be preserved well enough to be revived. But honestly, it's plainly just tradition, and it results in brilliantly done Pokémon. The juvenile version can be pretty intimidating on its own, but when it evolves, it becomes probably the most intimidating Pokémon out there. Or at the very least, it seems that way when they're roaring in your face with their savage rows of teeth. He clearly deserves to be the tyrant of the ancient Pokémon world. But what about the modern world? Well, that's when we come to Tyranitar. I understand it's supposed to be like Godzilla, but I'm not sure why that inherently makes it rock. I suppose it's just from the hard scales? I'm not complaining, it's a great Pokémon, and its typing should be mediocre at best, but this towering Tyrannosaur makes it work better than it ever should. And once again, this Pokémon received a Mega that only enhanced its natural power and daunting presence. We might not actually know what a T-Rex looked like in real life, but if it's anything like these monsters that use their resistant type to their advantage, I can see why the developers just had to revisit the idea. Number 1. Water-type Turtles. Everybody loves the starter Pokémon, and the cute tiny turtle from the first generation is no exception. Squirtle was instantly beloved just as much as his counterparts, and his adorable antics drove it into the hearts of players across the planet. Even evolved as Wartortle, he maintained his fans and grew some age-old wisdom, only to get giant cannons as Blastoise and end up being so popular that it was changed out to be a version mascot in the West because they knew it would be a smash success. And I do like turtle Pokemon of other types as well. Although, I guess Turtonator could use some work, but for the most part, you can't go wrong with a good turtle. And that remains true when they went for water again with the Gen 5 fossils. Tortuga is yet again a great representation of Pokemon from the past, and evolved, Caracosta is bigger and meaner, and the top of the food chain in the ancient seas. This would be good enough to crack the list already, but what puts it over the top is the latest edition of Dreadnought. This Pokemon was introduced before Sword and Shield, but even that couldn't damper its perfection. Dreadnought has an amazing design with the jagged spikes on its shell, limbs, and head, not to mention its extraordinary jaw that is an ideal match between Pokemon anatomy and battle prowess. The only downside is that it has a needless base stage with an oversized head, but that can be totally ignored in favor of Dreadnought's powerful Gigantamax form instead. So the fact that a water-type turtle was done immaculately to begin with, only to be done justice not once, but twice with more Pokémon that were just as good in their own unique ways, means that they've pretty well nailed how to do this specific type-animal combination. And honestly, I don't think I would even mind if they went for a fourth one someday. So, those are the top 6 best repeated ideas in Pokémon. Which Pokémon repeats do you find the best? Let me know down in the comments. Also be sure to leave a like, share this video, and subscribe so that you too can become an Imperial today. And we'll see you around next time!